This tutorial will explore the Global Biodiversity Information Facility's search functions. The Global Biodiversity Information Facility, or GBIF, is a government-funded international open data infrastructure with the vision of a world in which biodiversity information is freely and universally available for science, society, and a sustainable future. GBIF is the largest biodiversity database on the Internet and includes data collected over more than 3 centuries about more than 1.7 million species. GBIF offers free access and unlimited downloads for all records published on the network. The data can be explored by occurrence, species, datasets, data publishers, or countries. The quality and completeness of GBIF data is not guaranteed. Follow-up with the institutions or individuals supplying data to GBIF may be required. GBIF is a data aggregator. It ingests data from collections that participate and delivers the data, altered for consistency, through a web-based portal. GBIF includes occurrence records for vouchered specimens. This means they are supported by a physical specimen at one of the participating collections, as well as current observations from citizen scientists. This includes platforms such as eBird and iNaturalist. The GBIF homepage is quite spare, but the size of the database is very large. GBIF is currently exploring a redesign of its website, and we are going to explore the redesigned website. The Data Publisher search allows you to find information about the institutions and individuals whose data is included in GBIF. This search is useful when you have a question about a record and need contact information for the record supplier. The Datasets search drills down a little further to the various sets of data supplied by the publishers. This search is useful when you are using data and need to know details about the specific collection or to narrow your search to only one collection. You can do this by selecting your collection and then selecting the Occurrences button for that collection. The Species search allows you to drill down the taxa or search with a scientific name. So we'll do a little exploring of the taxonomy here to give you an idea of how this works. So each page that we go through will give you the number of species in that taxon, as well as the number of GBIF occurrences here in the corner. In addition to that information, you can see the gallery of images that those occurrences might have, and a map of all of the data points included in those occurrences. So these are any records that have coordinates with them. They appear in the map. So along with the gallery, the summary information at the top, and the map, each of these records or taxa will have other information at the bottom. And depending on what level of taxa you're looking at, the information will be different. But you can see when you get to the species level, you've got IUCN status, these references where the data's been used, checklists, and the data sets in which all these records occur. It's a pretty useful summary. So back to the home page. Oh, let's return to this species quickly because I do want to show you one other thing. If you select species and don't drill down the way that we just did, but instead perform a search here, you might wind up with some interesting data. It'll seem interesting to you. What you will actually get are just the list of species that include the words that you typed. So from that you can select your species and you'll be back to the same data that we drilled down to. So for this species, we've got 13 infraspecies and almost 18,000 occurrences in the GBIF data. So back to the home page, the final search option that I want to go through is occurrences. And this works in a similar fashion to the species. However, the terms that you enter in the search field are treated a little differently because the search all fields is going to take the text you put and search every field in the data set. So it's going to look for links, it's going to look for rufous, it's going to look for the two of them together. So if you search those same words here, you're going to get a different set of data. You can see we've got over 500,000 results here. So the word links or the word rufous is appearing in over 500,000 records in GBIF. GBIF does have a little bit of intuition here. It's asking me, did I mean Lynx rufus the species? So this would get us back to the same search that we asked for before. So what I recommend when you're searching occurrences is rather than using the search all fields function, it's much better to choose from the list here in the bar on the left and be a little more selective. So to search by scientific name, that will mean you'll get a more precise list. So you can refine your search further with all these fields in the bar on the left by clicking on any one of the arrows and deciding what you want. You could pick a publisher, you could pick a country, you can pick a basis of records. So if you only wanted specimen-based records, you can click that field and that's what you'll get. And so it is helpful to remember that GBIF includes observation occurrences, and if you only want specimen-based data, if you're looking for museum specimens, then you want to exclude those observations. And you may want to have data separated that way, so you may want to look at it from two different sides. GBIF only allows filtering to the country level here. but the secret sauce is here at the advanced search, which will allow you to drill down a little farther to the state or province level. So it's not as refined as you may want it to be. You may have to take your state level data and sort it by counties. That information is generally found in the location information of these records, but it also may mean that you have to contact your data providers directly to get the information that you need. One other interesting way to sort by location is by using coordinates. So using the location search here, you get a little map and you can enter coordinates to give yourself a square or a rectangle to search by. So we will do this. And if you click the Add button, you can see our results now have been greatly reduced to 147, and you can see the polygon on the map here. Sometimes you have to move the map around to see exactly where you've chosen. But that's another way to narrow down your data. So let's remove some of these filters. And we'll take a look at the results table. So you can select any record in the table to view it. Individual records include a map if the record has coordinates, plus a variety of information about the observation or occurrence, including identification, where and when it was collected, data licensing, and the specimen preparation if this is a voucher specimen. So in this case we have an observation. In the observations you get a little bit less data typically. With specimen-based records you will have other things. You might have measurements, you might have weights. Let's do this. We'll only look at specimens so that you can see a specimen record. You also have all the information about the publisher and the data set. So from the individual record you can get to all that information if you need it. So we've seen the data table. You can also review your results in a map format. And the map includes these little areas that cover where the specimens are. And you might have to experiment a little with the zoom on this map to actually click on the occurrences. But the map can help you find outliers and things that you might have to ask questions about. So for instance, on this map, we've got this one specimen or occurrence out in South America. And if we take a look at that record, we'll see that GBIF has already flagged this, that the country and the coordinate do not match. So you can see the coordinates are mapping this specimen to Bolivia. But when we look down in the record itself, in the data, we see it says it's from Mexico. So GBIF has flagged this, and hopefully somebody will figure out what the problem is with that record. Your results can also be viewed by species, which in our case, because we've really only selected one, that's all we're going to get. But if we had used a higher taxa, we might have a list of multiple species in this list. And you can view by data sets. So the dataset view is a little bit confusing perhaps. If you select one of these, rather than seeing all the occurrences in that dataset, you're going to be taken to the dataset page. So you're going to get information about the dataset itself, which may be helpful if you're looking for contact information or something like that. If you do want to see a list of occurrences by dataset, rather than using this dataset tool at the top, you'll want to go back to your table and then use the dataset tool down here, where you can select the one you want. And it's going to just give you the occurrences for that dataset. So it's another nice way to narrow down your search, especially if you're going to be working with specific data sets or asking certain collections to borrow things. You may want to just have their information. And this last option here at the top that we didn't really look at, the gallery, this will only have something in it if the records you've chosen have any kind of media, a photo or something like that. So in this case we didn't have any. If I remove this, I think we'll show up with some. There you go. So you can see the photos. In some cases it's files that are attached, so you won't get a preview. If they're JPEGs, you'll get a preview. So this is nice. We've got catalog information, the old card catalogs, anything that might be attached to an occurrence. So again, once you have the data that you want, you can download it as a comma-separated value file, or CSV, which can be opened with Excel, or a Darwin Core archive. GBIF applies interpretation to the data it ingests. So coordinates may be rounded or geodetic datum assumed, and the Darwin Core archive download will include the GBIF data as well as the verbatim data unaltered by GBIF from the publisher. The CSV file only includes the GBIF interpretation. Before you download any data, you'll need a GBIF login in order to do that. You'll be notified by email when your download is ready, and downloads are in a zip file format. The GBIF Data User Agreement requires users to publicly acknowledge the data publishers whose data they have used. If you make use of any data from GBIF, make sure that you cite it appropriately. That's basic searching in GBIF. If you need help, you can try the GBIF contact page or email info@gbif.org. Happy searching!